Hello and welcome back into another CreekCast. I'm Brooks Carter, joined by head football coach Drew Carter, as we are coming off a bye week, heading into the second half of the season here, and that's going to be kind of the theme of this show. As we'll take a look back at what happened in our most recent game down at Rockmart, and look ahead to our LFO game coming up next, and as well as the second half of the season. So, welcome to the show, Coach. How have things been going here in this bye week, as your last bye week, as you get ready for five straight to close out the regular season?
Yeah, things have been good this week. The kids have been focused. They realized what we faced, and some of the stuff we need to do to move forward, and give ourselves a chance to correct some things and be more competitive. Just talks with the guys and everything. The big thing we're missing right now is just our confidence in ourselves and our teammates. So been trying to focus on that and build ourselves up, because they've seen themselves be successful in spurts. But we've also seen the bad kind of topple on us. So we've tried to focus on that and pour into that, and hopefully we can get that going. Because I firmly believe that's the ingredient that we're missing right now, because it's causing us to lose some focus and not be able to make some plays that we know we can make.
Yeah, confidence with this group seemed to be at an almost all-time high about midway through the second quarter against North Cobb Christian. You'd put together that really great second half where you run away from Chattooga and wind up winning 30-7. Then you come out and really put together a strong first half performance. You have three different two possession leads at points in that first half against North Cobb Christian. And since that point, it's been an uphill battle. You've had long spurts of scoreless football at times, able to put a couple of touchdowns on the board in the fourth quarter against Sonoraville. But, you know, I know if you knew the secret sauce to this, you'd be probably coaching in the NFL or something. But, how do you recapture that momentum and that confidence that seemed to be at such an all-time high? Is it just something that they need to see themselves have that success again?
Well, that's the number one thing. But me and us as a coaching staff got to help us to hopefully get to that point. Us being hyper focused on the good that we do at practice, and helping our guys understand that what they're doing in practice is preparing them. It's not just out there doing. So hopefully, us having great energy at practice and really focusing on the good that they do, drill to drill, rep to rep on the practice field, and hopefully prepare us there. But ultimately, they got to see themselves do it in the game and then continue to do it.
Yeah, so quickly looking back at that Rockmart game, we knew we were kind of running into a buzzsaw down there. We know, I talked about it on the broadcast. We talked about it the week leading into the game. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. 8 straight region titles. I think that was their 61st or 62nd consecutive region win. So, they are what they are. And we went down there and we're able to do something. We moved the ball a couple of different drives offensively. They got some really good athletes who, they didn't take a ton of deep shots on us. A lot of their longer pass plays they just got the ball out in their athletes' space was kind of the name of the game with their passing stuff. And then, running running the football, they had probably two of the biggest backs that we'll see all season running the football. So they presented a lot of different challenges, but a few guys that stood out in the game to me were, first and foremost, I thought Wyatt Mann played phenomenally. That was probably his best offensive performance of the year. He made a few plays on defense too, but that about 25-yard catch he made over the middle, that was the longest offensive play of the night, was just an unbelievable individual effort from him.
Yeah, he played really well. You're right. And the best part about him is we've got to rely on him a lot, both sides of the ball, and it was a complete game for him. Like you said, he played well defensively, and with his position on defense, sometimes it doesn't show up in the stat book, but man, he was physical and taking on blocks and helping other guys make plays the way he's doing that. But you're exactly right. That's the kind of stuff we were expecting from him early on in the season, or coming into this season, catching the ball and being violent, getting up the field, being a big target over the middle, and that's exactly what he gave us. So, that's a perfect example we talked about just a few moments ago of a guy having some confidence going forward, knowing what it feels like, knowing what it looks like for him to make plays and help his team, because he certainly did that.
Branson Lowry continues to have a big season, especially from just a statistical standpoint. He's our leading tackler at this point. He's a guy who was towards the top of our tackles last year as a sophomore, but wound up missing a couple of games due to injury. He has continued to progress here in his junior year and looks really good. He's got 30, I think it's 33 and a half tackles coming out of the first half of the season. He was our defensive player of the game against Rockmart. And he's a guy who he has not been scared to go in and lay the wood on somebody. I've been really impressed with him from his middle linebacker spot. I mean, and honestly, both of our middle linebackers, Rivers played well. They've both progressed. I know they're really close and good friends too. You can kind of see a chemistry between the two of them at those middle linebacker positions.
Yeah, you're right. You're starting to see them have a lot of confidence in what they're doing and the speed that they're playing. And now they're arriving at ball carriers, not just, trying to get them on the ground, but like they're starting to run through guys and play really fast and physical and making plays at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage and not like, 6 or 7 yards down the field. And the best part about them is they're not satisfied with that. They're continuing to accept the tough coaching so that they can keep progressing, and hopefully they don't plateau there. They're really motivated with that, and they take the challenges from their defensive coaching staff to continue to improve on top of that too.
Sticking on the defensive side of the ball, a guy who maybe we haven't talked a ton about this year, but he's the Swiss Army knife in the front seven on defense. Luke Turner recorded. We've had a lot of tackles for loss this season. We've had a ton. In fact, last year we broke a team record with over 50 tackles for loss in a single season. I don't know how many people actually knew that, but Luke actually recorded our first sack of the season Friday night against Rockmart. Came through and lit up the freshman quarterback Tucker Parson, and that was early in the game too. That was a play that I think that was Rockmart's very first drive of the game. And I thought that was a really sent a message that, hey, like we're not scared of you guys. We're going to lay the wood on you. We're here to play. You're going to have to hit us in the mouth if you're going to beat us.
Yeah, he is a big part of what we do, and he doesn't back down from anybody, whether he's, playing our heavy package on offense, tight end position, or wherever he is on the defensive side of the ball. He runs well. He comes off the ball well. He's probably about 225 pounds, and he is a guy that is a key part of our defense. And hopefully now that we're getting some guys back healthy, Kobe Ewert's back, so that our D-line rotation and those linebackers, because that's really where Luke is most useful to us. When we can play him some at the D-end position, we can stand him up some at outside linebacker. He can play some inside linebacker and keeps everything fresh and allows our defense to be more multiple in what we can do. So he's a key part of that. Hopefully, as we get to the second half of the season, we can get back to using him in that game plan.
One thing offensively that I know that you've been rotating a lot of guys, even freshmen in at times. I feel like we've faced a couple of veteran defensive lines the last couple of games. Sonorville has a first-team All-Region player with Will Patterson on the defensive front. He's a really good football player. Rockmart's always got some big boys up front. That Nate Davis guy, I think I texted you after the game. I said, that's the best football player we'll see all season. That guy, Waylon took some absolute shots from him. So I'm just going to praise Waylon's toughness. That is a Division I level football player that he took hits from. And that guy, some of them I was like, I'm sure you might have had some flashbacks of being quarterback getting hit like that. Those were some brutal hits that he took from that guy. But, what does that look like? you want to throw the football for sure. And we've got a lot of guys that can catch the football and a lot of guys that can do a lot of great things when you get the ball in their hands, as Waylon's done a really good job distributing the football. But, you know, he's had a tough time getting adequate amount of time to throw the football the last couple of games. You know, what does that look like with Coach E and his guys down there working on that moving forward in the second half of the season?
Well, finding the right rotation is key. And we've had to rotate some guys because various reasons. Some of it's injury, some of it's guys not maybe playing up to their full potential. But you know as well as I do, when you don't have five consistent guys that are all gelled together, I mean that's a unison that you've got to have there because it's a lot of working pieces. They've got to communicate a lot, and they've got to have a feel for each other when they're working double teams, or they've got to adjust on their pass protection. So hopefully we can get that settled in. I think we're getting there. But you know, the bad part about it is when we do have to rotate some ninth graders in there, you know, we feel really good about Joaquin Lopez. We feel really good about Tyler Collier, but unfortunately, they're in situations that are kind of no win for them. They prepare themselves as best they can. They're tough, competitive players, but when they play against some of these veteran guys, they're just going to be outmanned sometimes. So what they can control that Coach Elsenrath is on them about is they can be where they're supposed to be and they can have their bodies in front of these guys. And if we get run over by a superior player, then we get run over, you know. But that's given us a chance to at least make a cut as a running back or giving our quarterback a chance to at least have a pocket and get the ball out on time. And that was kind of the message with those five up front, but also everybody else on the offense. Once we kind of got to that point where Rockmart was playing really well and it was going to be a tough uphill battle as the game progressed, you know, we had to focus on the things that we could control and the things that we could improve. You know, I remember Brody Howell coming off to the sideline saying, "Hey, look, we're playing some really good guys. All right, you're not going to play guys that can attack you and get off the blocks like this the rest of the season, probably. So if you can make some strides in that right now and attacking that guy and latching on to blocks for these guys, then you're going to be better for it as the season goes on." Same thing with our receivers. You're going to have to make some contested catches. Can you get open against these guys and make contested catches? That was a conversation with Waylon. We've got to and trust things coming open, throwing guys coming open, and that's going to make us better down the stretch.
Take a quick moment to thank our corporate sponsors here, and we'll kind of move ahead and look at our upcoming game against the LFO and do a little big picture look at the rest of our season as we adjust and move into the second half of the year. Let's first start off with Trinity Barbecue, S&M Auto Repair and Towing, Hernandez Roofing, Mohawk Industries, the Todd Nelson Foundation, Engineered Floors, Keller Williams, the Blankenship Team, Lowry Tree Service, Precision, that one gets me every week, Precision Seamless Guttering, Selling North Georgia, Smoky Mountain Wood Products, Textile Rubber, Phoenix Roofing Systems, and Dairy Queen. So, Coach, looking ahead to what we've got coming up on Friday night with the LFO Warriors, it's actually the first time we played up there in about 3 years, the way that the region realignment went. We wound up getting back-to-back home games with them. So last time we played up there, Case Kidman was a starting quarterback. That's how long it's been since we've played up in Fort O. But this is a team riding high. They just came off beating Ringgold, inter-county rival, big game for them. First time they've beaten Ringgold in a very long time. I know that they've got another game as we record this on the Friday before our next game. They got another game tonight as well. But there was an expectation for them to be a pretty good football team this year. They had a lot of guys back like we did. They made the playoffs last year for the first time in a number of years. Not sure what the health status of their quarterback is going to be. I know he went out late in that game against Ringgold, but the backup looked pretty good. But they got some athletes. They like to throw the ball all over the field. Were very opportunistic against Ringgold. I think they forced like 5 turnovers in that game. So, what have you seen from this LFO team?
Exactly what you're saying. They got talented skill players on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And, you know, offensively, they scare you because they can spread the ball and they can distribute the ball to a lot of different guys that can make plays, that can make explosive plays. So we've got our work cut out for us there. The quarterback's really good at extending plays. There's the deep ball really well. And we've had our challenges with that at times, staying over the top of stuff. So that'll be a point of emphasis for us this week. But we got to be able to affect the quarterback, whether it be sacks or just get him off of his point, and hopefully we can make him make some careless mistakes if we can apply some pressure on him. And make him play out of sync, and then we got to be opportunistic with it too. Defensively, a lot of those receivers and skill players are in their linebacker and secondary core. So you mentioned the turnovers that caused against Ringo a couple of weeks ago. We've got to be protective of the ball, throw the ball on time because their ball skills are offensive players. So they're going to make you pay if you don't do those things.
Yeah, and looking at the kind of looking back at the first half of our schedule, kind of same thing that happened to us last year, where we got 4-1. Now sitting here 4-1 Northwest, 4-1 Rockmart, 4-1 Sonoraville. Rockmart and Sonoraville actually play, as I mentioned, as we record this the Friday before our game. They will play tonight on September 26th, so that's a big game in region play. But and then a 3-2 North Cobb Christian team. Still got some good looking football teams on our schedule left too. We got an unbeaten North Murray team, but and a Ringgold team that's no slouch by any means. The way this region is shaping up, we're actually, as we sit going into this next week, because of our strength of schedule, and we've already at least got a win in the win column. We're sitting there right on the cusp of a fringe playoff spot, and if we can kind of get our mojo back and put together some positive plays that turn into positive quarters that turn into potential wins, we've got a chance to do something pretty big here in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned all that for our guys to be motivated by and be optimistic by, but we can't let the far off vision distract us by any means. Sometimes we get so focused on the result that when things do go not our way, that can discourage us and make us lose our confidence. So we've got to be able to do those little things, like you said. We got to take one play at a time, and then that builds into a series and a quarter and a half and a game. So those things are key. But we've got a lot in front of us, if like you said. But we've got to be able to get some confidence and belief in ourselves and our teammates, so that those things can be possible. And we believe it as a staff. And I think our kids believe it deep down, but they just got to see it start happening.
Yeah, I mean that's the big message here. The difference between last year and this year is, we've already seen ourselves play winning football this year. We hadn't seen that at this point in the year. I mean, heck, we had barely scored a touchdown through the first 4 games last year. So we've seen ourselves play winning football, and there's a lot to play for. There is a lot to play for in the second half of the season, and I don't know that was necessarily the case at this point last year. I think that was probably still the message, but ultimately there is a lot still on the table for this team to play for. And going back to preseason conversations I had with a lot of the seniors, the goals that they had for themselves this year, they're still out in front of them. If all they got to do is go grab them.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And glad that we're in that situation. And we've got to keep that at the front of our mind on a daily basis is the message we've got to. You can't just show up on Friday nights trying to achieve that goal. We've got to do it every morning in the weight room. We've got to do it every afternoon at practice. And kind of going back to how we started the show, us as coaches got to make sure that we're celebrating and pumping up that confidence and belief in their preparation every single day, so that starts showing up on Friday nights.
I will conclude this week's CreekCast. For Coach Drew Carter, I'm Brooks Carter. We'll be back next week here on our YouTube channel. We just hit 100 subscribers, so that was pretty cool to see. That's been a work in progress over the last couple of years. So I appreciate you guys subscribing to our Coahulla Creek YouTube channel. We'll be back next week to recap the LFO game and hopefully recapping a win as we look forward to our first home game for the first time in over a month, as we'll welcome Murray County to Colt Stadium. So thank you for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.